Why are you my friends again? Who are you people? And why are you so uncomfortably close? Do you want to fuck me or something? I mean, that's the people on YouTube think that.
He's just trying to get to me.
He's fucking me to get to you.
No, he's, that's why he's
Your
so
dick
close.
is...
He's so close to you. He's just trying to get to me.
Is your dick that big that you have to fuck me to get through him?
I guess we're gonna find out.
So we saw a movie.
Oh, right, that. Yeah.
So how's this?
Oh yeah.
Since we're drinking it, I mean...
Yeah. We saw a movie, and we got ourselves some drinks to talk about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the drink is Concannon Irish Whiskey. And what's the... you're a big fan of the Irish whiskey?
I am a big fan of the Irish whiskey, sir.
And you're just a fan of alcohol in general?
I'm just a fan of just about any alcohol that you can give me for free.
You know, pain go bye-bye juice, as you like to call it.
Yes. It has a slight mead taste to it, which I love. I like mead very much.
It is kind of slightly sweet-smelling, but not quite sickeningly sweet, like I get with a lot of wine-finished whiskeys.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this, actually. This is very good.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's not widely available. It's
No.
We had to go to our fancy liquor store. You know,
Our
only,
primo liqueurs.
only the fanciest hobos would ever dare to set foot inside that store.
Yeah. The store so fancy they don't even give you a bag for the booze.
I know. You have to. They don't want you to. I
No,
mean, they
you
want
gotta advertise.
They want you to walk out of that store, pass by the hardcore pornography rack, and carry out that fine bottle of whiskey, saying that you are not going to settle for anything less.
And you are not in the market for cheap condoms.
Dano's Liquors.
Dano's Liquors. You're not in the market for cheap condoms.
I actually haven't had a taste of this yet.
I'm really getting that orange finish they talked about. It's really good.
Yeah.
So the movie is about yours and our favorite X-Man, Nightcrawler.
Yes, indeed.
Played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
I was, in fact, hoping that this was about the X-Men.
I did not know his backstory was...
Can you actually remove your arm now, please?
I don't think so. I think we have
Would
to
it help
prove,
if I just...
we have to prove those YouTube comments right. We have to succumb to the peer pressure. Bennett.
Hey, how?
This is how a thumbnail is born.
I'm freaking chipped my tooth there, man.
So, yeah, Nightcrawler. Jake Gyllenhaal. I would say this is probably the one movie that can prove that Jake Gyllenhaal can act. Because up until now, Jake Gyllenhaal has
Oh,
been...
that's harsh. That's harsh.
No.
You've never seen Bubble Boy, my friend.
Boo!
I'm saying, like, all of Jake Gyllenhaal's movies...
I see you made me move my arm so you can put your arm
Yeah.
up there.
Well, we're all going to say Donnie Darko.
Well, Donnie Darko, but...
I would argue Prisoners was a very
Yes,
good
he was a
example of
better
this.
actor in this. Yes, this is the best acting I've ever seen him do. However, I wouldn't say...
This is the movie that proves he's an actor. No.
I would say, like, this was probably his most demanding performance.
Yes.
It is hard to make your eyes that big.
And actually, I think that was more or less intentional because, considering the whole, the theme of the camera looking at camera, like his huge glassy eyes look like camera lenses, ostensibly, and that's what he's doing.
He is just as inhuman as the machine itself.
I don't know, nothing like that. He's viewing humanity not as a... He's viewing humanity through a lens.
The guy was a sociopath,
Yeah, the guy was
legitimately social.
Inhuman.
Yeah, inhuman, but not so much as cold as a tool. He was all too warm in some places. He did have wanted desires, and he did have like a reason for doing. A machine cold would just do what it does because that's what it does.
I think you're taking my phrase a little bit too far.
I think so. I think
we were talking about the eyes.
Yeah, but besides that, I want to say this is a movie that it demands you sit through it. It's not an easy watch at all because it is one of the most awkward movies I have ever seen with one of the most awkward performances.
I actually didn't have that much trouble.
I didn't either, but when I saw the movie described as a comedic thriller, I didn't think that kind of this combination would work.
I found it a little bit more comedic than anything else.
No. It was darkly comedic.
It was a bitter comedy.
Yes.
It was kind of a bitter comedy, but it was also so stark in its portrayal of not only Jake Gyllenhaal's character, but also pretty much what he filmed. And what he filmed was, people having been murdered and people involved in horrific car accidents.
Jake Gyllenhaal's character in this is Louis Bloom. and he is what they call in the movie the Nightcrawler. Also the title of the movie. People that freelance photographers and journalists. Oh, I won't call them journalists. Photographers that go around to recent crime scenes and take B-roll footage, which is then used for local news coverage and spoken over.
So you know the song "Dirty Laundry." So you know this movie, way worse than that. Like that song,
no,
doesn't even cut it.
Yeah,
this guy is it's an art what he does. It is.
But he doesn't start out that way. What I did like is the progression.
Because if he doesn't just do it for the money.
No,
that's the thing.
But he wants the money.
Oh no, he wants the money. It's all a part of this painting that he's creating.
It's at once like he's discovering himself throughout the movie more than anything, and I think that's a dimension of this film that one makes this film, just sets it a little bit higher than what it could have been. I mean, when I was watching the previews for this movie, I wasn't sure what kind of movie I was going to get, and those are the best kinds of trailers. I mean, ones that say hey, this seems intriguing, but I'm not quite sure what the movie.
The trailers that you end watching it like this, like a confused dog.
It's like that's.
And it is awkward.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely awkward. But the comedic side of it just makes it a little easier to watch for me.
Mm. It is not awkward in the sense that
I'm laughing at it the whole time because they went a little bit over the top, just a little bit. If it was more subtle, I think it would have been more awkward.
Yes.
I wouldn't say they had to go less subtle for the awkwardness. I think that
it got to the point where he was saying shit that was just so completely ludicrous. It was like nobody would ever do this, and she was totally going for some. I guess she was shocked. She was
she in this question is Renee Russo, a local news director for
it's
a Los Angeles station.
But watch this movie and imagine yourself in her place if you can. And think about how would you react to this?
Yeah, because
so out of the blue.
I can't think of any one movie character that either doesn't have the self-aware knowledge of you wouldn't, basically proposition ostensibly your boss to enter a physical relationship with you, basically on the onset saying that I want it, and if you don't give it to me, I won't sell you my tapes anymore, and your job is on the line. So give me that ass. Mm. And at the same time, you're almost oddly entranced by that kind of performance. I think it's a combination between Gyllenhaal's performance and the fact that it's not really been done before, or at least that to that degree. We've all seen awkward characters, but never an awkward character that is threatening you.
I would not say the performance is similar, but I would cast Gyllenhaal's character as very similar to Robin Williams in 1 Hour Photo. They, in a sense, Williams' character had a singular family as a focus, and he obsessed over it. But both of these men are almost inhuman in their obsessiveness, and they're viewing humanity through a lens. Yeah, Gyllenhaal is just more upfront about it. I would actually say this is a nice movie to pair to Gone Girl, because both of them have a very staunch, open stance on how media parses horrible events.
We're going to be using that term through a lens a lot, aren't we?
Well, considering that it's about a guy viewing everything through a lens. Then,
but we get a sense that Gyllenhaal's character never gained the basic sociality of most of us. He said he never had much formal schooling, he reveals. He spends most of his time on his computer viewing humanity and learning about everyone else through online courses. He took a business course for a lark. He speaks. Man never met a contraction that he didn't hate. So he speaks very formally, almost like a character from a 1950s public service announcement. Very formal language, very complex sentences, very high vocabulary. Guy just isn't around humanity a lot. He isn't around other people, and he reveals later in the film that he just doesn't like them.
I think that...
Or at least that's what he believes himself to be.
He believes himself that he doesn't like humanity. But at the same time, you also get this notion that he's interested in them.
So at this point,
morbid
reel us in a little bit, that we haven't even really said that if we like the movie yet. I mean, it seems obvious that we like the movie, but how much did we like the movie?
I think that's a good question to ask. I would say that I like this movie probably more than either of you guys did. I think.
I agree. I could tell that you were really into the movie.
I was.
Yeah.
Like always. I love the fact that this movie kept me guessing. I love the fact that it did not take the easy way out because halfway through the movie, or at least at the end of the third act, Gyllenhaal gets a partner, and I figured, like, wait a minute, this partner only ever reacts with Gyllenhaal, so he's probably going to be like some parts of his imagination, or that's just like split personality or whatever. But no, it was completely gone. It wasn't even hinted at, other than like had I ever brought it up to you guys, you probably wouldn't even had a thought of it. But I like the way that it seemed obvious, but that was just not the way this movie was directing.
My opinion was that when through at least halfway through the movie, I figured that he was hiring these guys to do the crimes. And I was sure of it. I was pretty cocky at that point. I was like, oh yeah, he's orchestrating the whole thing. And that's how he's able to get there early. How else could he be doing this? But
although that is hinted at, actually. The police did say that we have this Bloom character connected to various middle to high crimes going back a month.
As a matter of fact, you're right. They never actually did give solid evidence that he didn't.
Mm-hmm. It's a very open end. The film does not reach a standard narrative conclusion where all ends are tied up. It reaches a point of satisfaction and leaves the ultimate fates of
which leads
up.
to what I did not like, which was the ending. I found the ending to be too.
Let's fill in a few more points before.
Well, I'm not going to give away the ending. I'm not going to talk about the ending. I'm just saying that we were on that place of what it led to. That's my liking of the movie. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the movie. It was great acting across the board, especially on Jake Gyllenhaal's part. Other than that, definitely was funny. It was funny. It was almost on the edge of my seat. The ending just left me a little bit high and dry, I guess. I don't know.
It just didn't feel like it closed any kind of emotional doors for you. It just kind of
it didn't feel like. It just didn't do anything for me.
What about you?
The ending in particular,
or not? Just your general
just general.
Like you said that you liked the film.
I did.
Yeah, but do you think that you're on my side of the fence where I really, really liked it, or are you more on Gabe's side of the fence? Like, I liked it up until a point.
I believe I'm on your side, Bennett, more than Gabe's. Mm. You were sitting to Gabe, so Gabe was between us. So you and I didn't have as much interaction, so we didn't really get a chance to express our immediate reactions to certain scenes. But I, in general, very much liked the film. And I even liked the ending and where it was going.
Okay. Yeah. So I agree with you on the general part, not the ending.
I don't know. Like, how much can you really detract from a film as far as an ending is concerned? Especially if the ending is not revolving around a twist.
For me, it felt lazy. It felt like, you know what? We've got this really nice product here. We've done well this whole way through. I really don't want to fuck it up. So let's just kind of do this.
It feels like you think it's an ending that just kind of coasted.
Yeah, it feels like, let's not do something risky that could fuck everything up. Let's just.
I think it did take a risk. I think it did, but not in the way that.
I think we need to fill in a bit more.
I think the whole movie took a risk.
The whole movie took a risk, but I think the ending itself took a risk that it wasn't immediately obvious. But we'll get to that.
Yes.
So the basic premise, as Gavin so eloquently set up, is that Gyllenhaal is a Nightcrawler, basically filming crash scenes and exploiting news. So, of course, right off the bat, we have this movie predicating itself upon the media's need to fuel a primal desire within humanity to view horrible things or to be scared of horrible things.
And if I have one fault to bring up this movie, and it is very slight, it's that it does not parse any words when dealing with what the news media wants. It has a very, very sad view of the American local media team. It's almost Paul Verhoeven in RoboCop kind of disdain for media in the sense of coverage.
I would say that I think
because it's very blunt. We meet Rene Russo in a scene where she's speaking news team lingo and talking about production speak, and in between those $5 vocabulary terms, she's dropping about how we want to see black people. We want to see. We don't want to cover crimes in Concord. We want to cover home invasions in affluent neighborhoods. We want white victims. We want all this. So it's very upfront, almost daring you to comment on that kind of obtuseness.
I don't know. I feel like that's, even though that I would agree with you that it is on the nose. I don't think it's more of just a handicap on the writing. I think that was kind of intentional in some ways.
I believe it intentional. I just don't agree with the purpose of it.
I
think the film would have been nicer if they tried a sharper edge of it.
When Gyllenhaal is being all awkward and saying like you want blood in the films, and
you want it bloody,
you want it bloody, and then Rene Russo is just kind of backtracking to make sure that she doesn't want to outright say it, but she wants to say it. And she's like, well, let's just say that our coverage is all about a woman screaming down the road with her throat cut with a knife.
I didn't buy her character very well. That's one of my problems.
I
didn't buy it.
I could, you could make it a case that it's, the media is never portrayed in a positive light in these kinds of movies, or in any movie, really.
Yeah, but she's the only one. Everyone around her is like, oh, this is terrible. Is there a baby in that crib? That's terrible. You can't air this. This is completely immoral.
Well, we had one moral character whose name is meant to be forgotten, really.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like the casual reminder of hey, like this isn't right.
Hey, these people are doing things that are morally shady.
They're way too polar opposite.
But I like the fact that he's portrayed in this sort of impotent light. This is as hard a pessimistic movie as I've seen all year in its portrayal of like this is what the media does, and any kind of reasoning or say, well, this is wrong is just immediately shut off. Nobody gives a shit if this is right or wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that
we have an early scene where we have someone come in, a legal expert come in, and Russo says, "Can we show this?" And she goes, legally, and Rene Russo just comes to her and said, "No, morally, ethically, yes, legally." And then our cuckold here, our but this isn't right news guy is just stat off and completely cut off during the conversation.
Like he never even had a moment where he's just like, "I quit."
No ground given by Russo's character.
He is basically a pegging boy.
He's spineless,
and he's only there to basically be the one voice that pipes in that says this is wrong, but the movie completely fucking ignores it. Not because they agree with Rene Russo's side. It's that the movie is presenting a reality that says that this is the way things are. This is the way things
and it is all consuming.
And it's all consuming. You can't escape it because this is human nature.
And that's why we have our partner friend come in for Gyllenhaal's character, who I believe I don't want to confirm, but it did seem like he was coded undocumented.
Coded undocumented.
He's an undocumented worker. Because he comes with very little work experience and said he was a landscaper for a few months before he got caught, and it seemed like
he said he got hay fever, but
he was in a position of desperation and taken on as an intern.
Yeah, for $30 a day. So you're thinking, okay,
this guy does not have many other options.
Doesn't really have any. Although he does speak English fairly well for a coded.
A lot of them do. A lot of undocumented words are fluent.
Very fluent, like with no hint of an accent.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just saying if he was coded.
Oh, if they wanted to make it as obvious as their disdain for the news media, he would have had a kind of essay kind of deal.
He would have been a little bit more explicit on that, but I don't think that's the case. I think
it didn't bother me at all.
No, I don't. And if they did, like, it's one of those tricks that the movie plays where if it is the case, it's not so immediately obvious that you don't let it, it doesn't really bother you. And if it's unintended, then that's just, the audience interacting with the art.
And believe me, there was enough of a difference between Gyllenhaal's character and everyone else that you don't need to try very hard to make people different from him.
No. No. Although he did play the classic, bumbling, like, oh, woe is me, put upon sidekick to Gyllenhaal's madcap, like, we gotta chase after the police.
Oh, he was never that emotional.
No.
This was Gyllenhaal doing a bit overzealous of a Crispin Glover impression.
I would not.
Like Crispin Glover, I would have loved to see just act in a few of these scenes.
I would, but I don't think this was Crispin Glover he was channeling.
I don't believe in so much his inflection as the type of character and his speech pattern.
Well, I would definitely say that this is definitely a
Maybe
Crispin...
the greasy hair thing? But...
Again, not so much about the physical character, but more of how he spoke and interacted with
I would say
people
that this is indeed a
and
Crispin...
carried himself.
I would say that this is indeed a Crispin Glover character that
Like,
he
I
would
can
have
see
played.
this guy being trapped in and
Yes,
pretending a bunch of rats.
This is the kind of character you would expect Crispin Glover to play, but...
Not saying Gyllenhaal doesn't knock it out of the park. He very much does.
Yeah, better acting than Crispin Glover. Sorry.
I don't know.
I like Crispin Glover, I do, but...
He's just a bit more
I have to
for
say,
the
I
times.
can't recall him ever doing acting this good.
It
was really good. It was fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want him...
Strongest point of this movie was his acting.
But considering that the movie is driven by this one singular performance...
There are rare scenes in which he's not in.
Yeah, I don't think there is a scene where he's not in it.
Yeah, there are a few. There are 5 to 10 second intercut sequences between a larger montage or whatever, but there's only a few minutes of actual final film footage in which Gyllenhaal's not present, or at least present in relevance.
Part of the I wouldn't say moral ambiguity, because what he's done...
Oh no, he very quickly establishes himself as bad. Oh, I think we completely forgot to start this off with a disclaimer. I think all of us apologize, but we arrived to the theater slightly late and missed the first 3 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
First few minutes.
Three or so minutes.
But
we came in and it was very well established. I think we just mixed the opening credits and a bit of flavor here, but he was established from the very beginning as a thief. As a guy that will take something, and we come in not too long, he's desperate for money, and he meets Bill Paxton as a Nightcrawler who inspires him to pick up the freelance lifestyle.
Bill Paxton has a...
Yeah.
Bill Paxton has about like 8 minutes of...
But he's decent.
Well, I see it turn out that there's like some completely extravagant event that happens in the first 3 minutes, and we're just a bunch of jackasses.
No. We meet him, and he is inspired by Bill Paxton to pick up the lifestyle because he wants the cash, and he steals a bike and sells it. He tries to upsell it to the pawn shop dealer who's not having it, and he sells it in order to get his initial camcorder. So we established very quickly, this guy is dubious at best, and he's
he's a criminal. Yeah, there's just no other way around it. He is a fucking criminal.
He's a smooth criminal.
He steals a bike to sell for initial camera equipment, and then...
Which is laughable. And that camera he got from the pawn shop was not what they would sell for.
He's one of those guys who, he has a being. He has a magic being, he just starts from the ground up.
Yeah.
He sells the being, gets something bigger, and sells that, and just someday he's the president.
That is true. That's one thing I liked. Because if Gyllenhaal's character was meant to be this robot who is completely incapable of understanding the humans, he would have picked this up immediately and just been spectacular at it. One of the things, we actually get kind of a humanizing kind of, oh, isn't this adorable lengthy montage of him learning the trade of Nightcrawler. Because at first, he is laughably inept. That's where a lot of the comedy comes in, because he gets a police scanner, and he intercepts an arrest of two black guys. And he's only been to one scene before this and saw how they were scoping it out and everything. And crime scene is here. He has a car. He pulls in until he's 12 inches in front of the black guy on the ground getting arrested. Pulls out, gets right in front of the cop's face, and gets repeatedly told by all these cops to just back the fuck off. Loses coverage for him and everyone else around him. He is abominably bad at this. But it is how he becomes better at this, through this systematic, removed analyzing of everything.
So what you're saying is that this film is made better because of the Rocky montage.
I wouldn't call it a Rocky montage. It's not so quickly intercut to a single song.
It's not a Rocky montage.
It's a building of character.
Jake Gyllenhaal punching a side of beef in a locker room would have been great to see.
I don't think it would fit in this movie.
Like dun 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 dun.
Filming, shooting a side of beef.
Yeah, shooting a side of beef. Gotta find the blood.
Wow.
You gotta zoom like thunder and pan like lightning.
And he's running up the steps of the Philadelphia Art Museum because somebody's getting
steady hands.
I almost feel like we missed the very point in the beginning of this movie where he's a blank slate and he sees something that intrigues him?
I don't think we have that. I don't think it was ever blank slate.
No, I don't think he was ever a blank slate. Although
I think there was a point where this needed to germinate.
I'm just wondering if they showed some point where he sees something that just triggers, oh, that's what I want to do, because he literally starts with no experience.
well, he kind of does that when he's driving down the freeway and he sees an accident, and he literally
Now,
stops.
that could be the moment. That could be the deciding moment.
And
And
then
he's adorably goofy. Like if you know all those YouTube videos where they recut a movie and completely change the genre. The first 20 minutes, 30 minutes of Nightcrawler, you could just turn it into a goofy character learns a trade and becomes a better human being because of it. Because you have so many scenes of him just bumbling to the point of, I'm pretty sure a human being of 20 some odd years, 30 some odd years would know how to physically hold a camera.
yeah,
But
he immediately learns, because he says in the movie, "I'm a quick learner," and then 2 months in, he finally gets a team going, and now
a team.
a team, and parses footage to all news corporations.
Well, he gets a semi-exclusive relationship with KWLA, Rene Russo's station.
And
that's when he begins his predatorial relationship with Russo's character.
like, there's a certain point where he stops being just awkward, and starts being awkwardly evil,
Obsessive, yes.
almost obsessive.
Like, this would be a guy that J. Edgar Hoover would have on his payroll 2 weeks into his term. Like, this guy is able to dig up the dirt on everybody.
Yeah.
Like, one of his earlier scenes is like, you can find anything on the internet.
If you look hard enough.
Yeah. And he very much does.
And he finds out pretty much every bit of
That's how he's effective, and he's effectively able to get Russo into the exact relationship he wants to. Because it is insinuated that they do end up having courtship.
Although, pretty much against Rene Russo's wishes.
Very much so.
And they have the good grace to not show it. I think that's...
Yes, Russo just has a line later of, I was in your apartment. So
they have a whole onslaught of euphemisms.
Yeah, this...
Euphemisms.
Yeah. Double entendre.
No, you said euphemisms.
Whatever.
This is a good
slurred my
smash.
tongue, you got me, thank you.
I just don't want you to be saying euphemisms to somebody and then they'll say, like, that guy's an idiot. He said it wrong. I don't want that to happen.
I mean, not like I'm on the camera right now and everybody online can see
This
it, right?
type of interaction that you just saw with Bennett and Gabe is 50 to 70% of any friendship with Bennett. Just absent-minded. Can I make a point of
it's
correcting
him patronizing me on camera and saying, I just don't want anybody to notice you make that mistake.
Okay, you made another one of your silly
But I'm not going
oopsies,
to edit
Gabe.
it out.
No.
Because it's so funny when I correct you.
Gabe made another of his silly oopsies.
Yeah, at least I'm not going to edit out you guys calling me an asshole. So.
Goofus and gallant here. Reverse that. Goofus and gallant.
Rinse and repeat, right?
So you're the guy who's just
I'm
staring
the guy
at...
that writes it.
No, you're the guy who's staring at Goofus and Gallant and beating off.
A little bit. Incorporating the nuts.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
I do it with 2 hands.
Yes.
We were so off topic here.
Wait for it. Wait for it, Gabe.
No, we're not.
I think you are.
Is it?
I think it's time, Bennett. I think
Where
it's
did
time
we
for your
go?
catchphrase.
Where did we go to, Ben?
And more really, where did we go to get to where we were going?
Where did we go?
Where's that?
We went all the way to Mount Doom, then we took it back to the Shire.
Laugh
Thank you.
track and applause. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Did I do that? Yes, indeed.
So where did we go?
Good T-shirt generator.
Where did we go? Just north of the Shire, east of the lands of Rohan, and south of the kingdom of Gondor.
But that's where we are right now.
Second star to the right, all the way till morning.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so
we would walk
me,
500 miles.
For me, this movie kind of lost its point.
I wouldn't say it lost.
It just became more. It was more of a mood film, and just became more about this character is so inhuman. He's so evil, and
Again,
it was
sociopath.
almost like watching American Psycho. If instead of the big twist at the end, they just kind of said yeah, and then he killed that last person in the end of the movie.
Well, okay. Here's a good point to bring up the crux of the movie that really pivoted its second act. In between doing all these little issues and whatnot, Gyllenhaal and... oh, God, I forget his name. Wage Slave. Gyllenhaal and Wage Slave show up before the police at this supposed domestic disturbance call. He goes in, sees the two people leave, films the two people leaving, later hides it from the police, goes inside, films the 3 corpses, again, active crime scene, police have not arrived yet, leaves. It's this crime scene that really the entire rest of the movie pivots on. And he does hide it. And eventually the people get away, and it was this one that even Russo wasn't sure of to actually display. And eventually these people crop up again, and we learn of Gyllenhaal's plan to follow them, wait for them to get to a place that's photogenic, and then he would call the police in order to instigate an arrest and film it.
And that was interesting. It was good.
Yes.
I enjoyed it.
That was the best scene in the movie.
It was the best scene in the movie.
Everything
else I felt was pretty lazy.
I wouldn't say it was the best.
Oh, lazy!
Yeah.
It's fucking lazy. This plot was so
no.
fucking lazy. And it...
Really?
You guys are blinded by the acting of
I don't think so.
No.
And that's okay. He did great. He carried the movie. He made it interesting. With somebody else, it may not have worked.
I don't think so.
No.
The plot
I
was
don't
like...
think the plot is lazy. Don't think the plot
That's
is
what it
lazy, I'm
was.
sorry.
I don't think so.
I forgot
Watch
to
it. Tell me what I'm wrong about. Because I felt they could have done something that would have made it all amount to some kind of more than just, yes, it is corrupt. The media is corrupt. Yes, he is an inhuman monster. Yes, there is a conflict of morality. Blah, fucking blah. Yes, through the lens. Yes, that's great and all. But there's something else you could top it off with, and that would really make this movie more than what it is, and really put it into the.
I think when we get to the discussion of the ending, Ben and I will both make our point that there is something more.
Please.
But we skipped over the part where Bill Paxton actually invites Gyllenhaal to be part of his expanding team, and Gyllenhaal just tells him to fuck off in so many words. And he later, in order to strip the competition away, just breaks in and, I don't know, tampers with the brake line, I think, of Bill Paxton's news van, and causes them to crash. And then he films the crash just like a Nightcrawler, and that's when you get the sense that, Wage Slave is going to die. Wage Slave is going to be dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just the same way you know that
Wage
his
Slave is gonna
assistant's going to bite the dust as well.
That is Wage Slave.
That is Wage Slave.
I've dubbed the assistant Wage Slave.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Bill Paxton, because he's going to die.
I don't think Bill Paxton died. I think he was just critically injured.
He was critically injured
Because he was alive.
We never found out his condition afterwards.
No,
That is true.
No, so
But he was at least critically injured.
But you knew that what was going to happen was going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
So he calls them the driving pole. He gets to this place and he films it, and we get a brief hint of a police investigation thereafter. And the police investigation is the one thread that doesn't really tie in. Isn't really tied up.
I think the police investigation is just there to, I think, satiate the kind of isn't there some kind of legal recourse?
No, that's a part of what I'm getting at.
But I think
a part of what I'm saying.
I think we've parsed enough. Let's chat the ending.
Well, okay, so he finally calls it in. He finally calls the police in. The Mexicans, they were, let's not parse words here. They are Mexican, or at least they were called
Hispanic.
Mexican. They were called Hispanic. There's a difference. I'm sorry. They were labeled as Hispanic, and they start a gunfight with the police because
few police officers die.
Yeah, and there is a car chase, a great car chase through the streets of Los Angeles.
Pretty good.
And by the by, at the beginning, he has this crappy little Pinto. Was it Pinto? It's a crappy little car, and he ends up with this Dodge Challenger RST. SRT, rather. And a Dodge Challenger.
But it's a new Dodge Challenger, so it's
I know, but
That's what I'm saying.
But it's a shiny, gleaming thing.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty stuff, really cool stuff, really good
We'll
cinematography.
get to it, Gabe. We'll get to our counterpoint.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
What?
I'm on the same subject. The car chase. It's very well shot. It is
very well shot.
But it's more decorating.
Nice Vanishing Point reference, by the way, movie. Although I really wish it would have been in 1970, but that's just me speaking. Anyway, the great car chase, and the police are coming after them, and of course they're just filming this, all of it. It's basically a film trap. And then finally they flip the SUV, and all the cops are pretty much disabled because they crashed their cars. And then Jake Gyllenhaal gets his camera, and he starts filming, and then he labels his wage slave to come in and get a shot too, saying that the guy is dead. Now, previous to that, the wage slave finally grows a spine and says, "I want more money.
I want half."
I want half."
But prior to that, he says, you're being promoted to what was it, vice president,
executive
vice
yes.
president, and he's, of course this guy doesn't even know what the titles are. He doesn't know
They're
anything.
meaningless, yeah.
And he says, "Well, do I get a raise with that?" He's like, "Yeah, pick a number."
He goes,
He thinks for a while. He's like, what was it, like 135? He said, or something.
He started with 100, then he went down to 75.
It's like done. And then he just said, I could have gotten more, couldn't I?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Because he's a dick.
Oh, the guy's a major dick. But his use of business terms is just a constant tickling to me.
And then
It
finally,
practically drops synergy.
and then finally, you know, when he hears the plan of Gyllenhaal's, he says, "This is insane.
Yes.
I'm not going to do it unless I got half."
Yeah.
And then there's that one little turning point where the sane member kind of turns corrupted, saying like, "If this is so insane and so wrong, why are you doing this for money?"
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was that, you know, that one little turn where finally Gyllenhaal feels threatened, and then
And that's when we learn that, what if I don't understand people, I just don't like them? What if I feel the need to physically hurt you because of this? What would you think of that? And they're like, oh, yeah, I was right.
Because
Wait till he's gonna die.
he says he'll take half, but then he says, "I'm not going to leave the car."
I'm not going to leave the car to get your second angle
Yeah.
coverage
Too
of
dangerous.
the police
Too
investigation.
dangerous.
Yeah.
And then,
trust me, it's more dangerous in here. Now go out there and get my second shot of the shooting.
Steady hands.
Steady hands. And then finally, at the scene of the crash, the guy driving the SUV was trying to make the escape, wasn't dead, and shoots him dead.
Shoots the wage slave.
Wage slave dead. And finally, the cops come and, you know, finish him off. And there's Gyllenhaal filming all of this. Then finally films his wage slave
Dying.
And the best part about that scene is the fact that while he's hovering over him, there's this light shining right behind him, like he's an archangel, and there's a choir playing in the background. So
I
he's
didn't get the light. I saw
You
I
saw
saw
the-
the broken light.
You saw
The broken tail light.
broken tail, but there is a yellow white light right
I didn't
behind
get
him,
it.
like a halo.
Didn't get it.
It was right on the left hand corner. You must have missed it.
I must have.
Must have missed it, and the choir was playing in the background, so it was sort of like playing this scene both as scary but funny at the exact same time.
It was
Yes.
overzealous. It was purposefully
That's
over exaggerated.
more about what I'm trying to say. When
Yeah. Would
Make
you
that point.
would you like some more anger juice? Would you like some more anger juice? Because I think this is about the same time you're about to unleash your rage bomb here.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, no, give me your glass. I'm not going to give you
so
the
you're
bomb.
so you're gonna fill up a certain amount in there. And
Okay,
then
this
I'm
is
gonna,
my-
and I'll finish it off.
This is my glass. Give me your fucking glass.
All right.
I can't have any more. I'm driving.
You lush. Be responsible, kids. But
Look at what happens when you drink excessively.
you'll get yourself man cans.
Really?
I was referring to getting famous on the internet, but okay.
Is that how it works?
I think so. Otherwise, how else did I get these puppies?
They are marvelous, though.
I know. I just wish they didn't come with hair.
So that's the trick.
I would have looked great in a bikini, but this hair is just killing it. God, I look like Dolly Parton if she rolled around on a barbershop floor.
That's pretty good. I like that image too. That's funny.
Jolene.
Just rolling.
Just, and I will always...
Not so much one that just has like thumping at the
They
at
see
the
me
uneven
rolling.
balance. It's like a coin where one half of the coin is just bent so far inward.
It's like a deflated bike tire. But
What were we talking about?
we were talking about the ending, and I will lay out what the ending is.
Oh,
And
please,
I'll
go
lay,
for it.
I'll lay out, and then my initial reaction.
No, I think that go
Okay.
for it. Yeah.
So after all of this is said and done, he sells the footage of the car chase of the gunfight, and just as like 4 minutes after, as they're about to broadcast, the FBI shows up and saying like, we want that tape. That's evidence, but without a warrant.
They never present a warrant. Yeah.
They never present a warrant. They can't legally take it. And so they broadcast the footage anyway. And so they finally take Gyllenhaal aside because he volunteered to do it, and they lay it on the line. It's like, listen,
They know exactly what they did. What he did.
What he did, but they can't legally prove it.
Not yet.
Not yet. And you're left with a question of what he did in that particular circumstance. It was the question I wanted to ask you all back at dinner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been waiting to hear that question.
Technically speaking, the detective said that was murder.
It is not murder.
Do you agree with her? Was that murder?
No.
The detective said it was murder.
It was not murder. It was a criminal offense. He is if the evidence is presented, he is guilty of several criminal offenses.
Sorry,
but none of them is murder.
There's a reason. There's a reason we have degrees.
Well, that's not like that has nothing to do with what happened. It's no.
He is guilty of neither voluntary nor involuntary manslaughter. He is guilty of withholding information and interfering with a police investigation, and several other very technical terms that I can't quite remember.
The question is, if he did that really, really fucking well, and to the point of so much damage, does that make it murder? And
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's less a legal question, more a moral question, because he did make that call expecting bloodshed.
Not expecting, but almost hoping.
Well, he did it because he did it specifically for a gunshot. So he was expecting / hoping that a gunfight will happen.
Gunshot's better.
By the by, if you've seen the trailers for the film, he never says that line. If you want to win the lottery, you got to get the money to buy a ticket.
Yeah,
never says it in the movie.
But unlike that one movie, which I can't quite remember.
Oh, you mean I know what you're saying, like ninjas. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike that movie, we weren't sad that line wasn't in there.
You know, interesting. Another thing that was glad you mentioned that. Really glad you mentioned that. That was important to get out there. The fact that in the trailers they made it seem like he was more of a public person, like he was more of a face.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he was saying that it was more like a promotional kind of thing. It was
yeah, like he was saying that to himself. He was saying that to other people.
Saying it to other people. It seemed like it was like a catch line.
Mm-hmm. And there's a shot of him like adjusting himself in front of a television camera against the TV backdrop.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, but then that shot never really quite happens in the movie. It kind of happens.
It happens. Like you get the shot. I think you actually get the shot, but
it's on a television monitor, and we're not zoomed in on the television monitor. We're just kind of.
And he doesn't do that smile.
He doesn't do that creepy ass like.
Yeah, they lead you to believe that he's like, reports the news so much, even in the trailer, but he does not.
He does. He just captures crime scenes.
He ends up making the news. And not in the good way.
He's only able to appear personal when he's just only has like 5 seconds or under. When he's walking by people, he can smile and nod and stuff. But if you have a conversation with the guy, he completely gives himself away as being a
sociopath.
A sociopath, yeah.
And that's not a term we're just throwing in there. He meets quite the literal definition of a sociopath.
Yes.
Yeah. So we cut from like that interview in the blank room where he basically states his case with like, I would believe if I actually
bald face lying,
and walks out of the police room just kind of scot free. He just puts on his sunglasses, just like Kaiser Sose,
hearing the police scanner of another robbery and smiling to himself as he leaves.
And then cut to him forming his own company, with vans and suits, saying,
precisely the 2-van setup that Bill Paxton talked to him about, which I thought was cute.
And just covering wherever was happening. He owns his own Nightcrawler.
The cars go in the distance, and we pan upward.
What?
The credits.
Yeah.
Usual Suspects, way better movie, by the way.
Well, the Usual Suspects. That could be said of many very good movies. Don't give anything. Many good movies.
That's unfair. They're two completely different movies.
They're completely different.
Kaiser Soze is.
I'm just taking shots here. I'm just taking.
This movie is not as good as Usual Suspects, therefore it shouldn't exist.
It needs to at least be as good as The Usual Suspects in order for me to put it in my collection of movies. So
there's like 6 DVDs just covered in dust.
No, it's just 20 copies of The Usual Suspects. Usual Suspect, rather.
DVD, VHS, Blu-ray,
HD DVD,
Betamax. Laserdisc.
Oh god,
an actual audio projection reel,
audio tape, narrated by
novelization,
narrated by Morgan Freeman.
Usual Suspects books for the blind.
Braille.
So, oh my god!
I'm terrible. Okay,
that is awful.
That is horrible. And other synonyms for bad.
But I guess when like even with that ending in mind, which I will admit it's not the kind of ending that I was expecting to get from the movie.
You're not wholly satisfied.
I know,
but that's the point. It's purposely so.
I think that there shouldn't be a karmic resonance.
Well, God, don't make my point for me. God,
I don't think there should be any kind of karmic backlash for his actions because
that's not what I was going for, by the way.
But
I think we're just making our individual cases now.
Our individual cases. I believe that the film was right in that the character should not get a karmic backlash. That the backlash about what happened should be on the audience, or at least on the viewing public. It's more kind of an accusatory finger at us, at the media and the audience, because we're all part of this.
I also somewhat agree.
And, just like, the punishment shouldn't go on him. He's just responding to the want and need for the viewing public's...
I absolutely agree.
He's almost a libertarian ideal. He's responding to market forces. And
that would not be the way to end it. But
Gabe,
this also was not the way to end it.
This is Gabe's case now. Go ahead,
Gabe.
I'm just adding on to you guys.
No, Gabe, Bennett made his case. Now it's your turn.
I already made my case.
Well, give us your
what more
do
you want me to say? Like how should it have ended?
What would have improved?
I mean, I haven't written an ending to it yet.
But
what would have improved it? What was missing from the ending?
What was missing from the ending that you think should have been there?
A twist. To put it simply.
A twist.
A twist. Now, I'm not saying a specific twist. Any kind of
metaphysical twist or a narrative twist. Like, are you expecting a twist where his assistant never existed, or are you expecting a twist that he was commissioned by the government?
Either, actually, really, either. Just any kind of twist, something that doesn't.
You want this to be a Fincher movie? Is that what you're asking?
I'm sorry.
You want this to be a David Fincher movie with that last act twist?
Well, I'm not saying it has to be exactly that. David Fincher. I mean, he's not the only. He doesn't have a patent on twists.
No, but he does these kind of dark, almost bleakly comic movies.
I mean, if you want to throw a name in the bucket, sure,
Fincher?
Sure,
Fincher?
absolutely.
Would you throw a Shyamalan?
Not a Shyamalan, maybe.
Would you throw a Bryan Singer?
Please, not a Shyamalan.
You've already thrown the Bryan
Not
Singer.
Not a Shyamalan ding dong.
No,
that's not like the first thing that I thought of when I was watching. I wish this was an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Said no one ever to any movie, including M. Night Shyamalan.
But no, it's something more than a complete cut.
Oh my god!
They might have just put the damn thing. What?
Then it's about to.
He's about to have a revelation.
Oh my god. What if M. Night Shyamalan played Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie?
That's not even.
Oh, you mean like? It turned out he wasn't a forest fire?
No,
like his character in Lady in the Water? Just like him physically, M. Night Shyamalan in front of the camera acting?
Yeah, like M. Night Shyamalan. This is like the biography of M. Night Shyamalan. It's him trying to make a movie, but he's so reduced, like he can't
So there was actually a lady in the water and he just went over there and filmed it?
Hey, be careful, you're, starting to come up with some stuff that might be more interesting.
Just because M. Night Shyamalan in a car in a Dodge Challenger SRT just going like, I gotta make my movie! I gotta make my movie! He's going up
if you waddle in the lottery, you gotta earn the money to buy a ticket. If you want to make a movie, you gotta earn the money.
You gotta raise the money to pay the people.
We're just going off the rails,
You can tell who's had more scotch.
It's not scotch, it's Irish whiskey.
You can tell that more than
Mr. I don't get drunk.
I don't. I've never been drunk.
Yes, he is immune. He's
I've just never tried.
He's immune to inebriation.
I've never
That's
tried.
his mutant power.
Never tried to get drunk.
That explains it. So we know your feelings of the ending.
Yeah, honestly, I blew my load early in this review, so.
Oh, that's a lovely ending.
So you just feel like there's no real narrative point to the ending.
I'm all dry now.
It's okay.
All right. So
sorry.
Your thoughts on the ending?
I definitely lean more towards your side, Bennett. It strikes me very much as a condemnation of it. I feel that Gyllenhaal's success within the news reporting field is very much the absolute point of the film, as Gabe agreed. And I felt it was very satisfying. I didn't necessarily want it's to the point where it's one of these films that it's easy to predict the outcome. It's easy to believe that eventually he's going to get caught. They're going to find some evidence. He's going to be put away. Same thing that in Inception, yes, the actual top does stop spinning. You can see it tumble on its axis. But that's not the point. It ends at a precise point for a strong narrative reason. In this case, I would say it is a condemnation of the viewing public of news. And yes, I would say there's actually a little bit of a hatred towards freelance culture as well. I think that that's in there as well. Oh, not so much a hatred, but definitely a disdain for certain aspects of it, and I think it
Really?
yeah
Towards freelance?
Yeah,
towards
freelance
the
culture.
culture around freelance work, especially in big cities like LA. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I could definitely get that.
Absolutely.
Because think about it, every single person who was a Nightcrawler was just this asshole, just this absolute like, come on, man, let me film this bloody scene.
But they were doing it because they had to, and they were all pictured very much in a sense that we empathize with them because this is what they were all acting on what the people wanted. They arrived to these conclusions based on how they were paid.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for my point, yes. Honestly, I could just start naming movies that have good endings. That have absolutely nothing to do with the theme of this movie. And as an example of classy ways to end a movie, I'm not saying their direction was wrong. That was wrong. That what they did was wrong. I'm saying that there are ways to end movies that just leave you, happy leaving the theater. Classy ways of ending a movie that is just artistically better.
I don't think this is a movie you should leave happy.
No.
Okay, happy is the wrong word. Satisfied.
I don't think this was a movie you need to leave satisfied.
I think
this movie was meant to leave a thorn in your side. It was meant to leave that little niggling doubt, that little horrible, like, this is a major problem, everyone's at fault. This guy was so successful in it because we're all secretly horrible people.
I felt they could have... They could have taken that nail and really just, give it the final tap. The final tap is all I'm asking for here. They just seem to... mine's had a guy just walk up and say, like, end of Act 6, cut. Marker. That's what it felt like for me. Now, that's not classy. There's no musical interlude. There's no cinematic, turn. There's just nothing.
I think you're wanting this movie to be what it is, what it never intended to be. I think you're trying to impose a very strict
if there was
movie structure.
if there was like a falling action, like there was something that separated.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of.
Pan out to the city. Pan out to the city. Oh shit! It's happening everywhere. Shit. Anything. It just felt like it was just. It wasn't abrupt in a way that was appropriately abrupt. It just felt like it dropped. It just dropped the ball completely. That's what it felt like for me.
Maybe because it didn't actually have a drop in the final act. Like Ben was trying to say, it didn't have a falling action. It didn't have a very It had a very brief denouement. Very much so. The actual ending of the film came only, I would say, less than 10 minutes after the climactic car chase. Or the climactic wage slave die.
Mm-hmm. It's very taxi driver in that way.
Yes, that would be a good comparison. Although nowhere near as good, of course.
No, definitely not near.
This ain't no Scorsese.
No, but it's very much like Taxi Driver in that it's all about a guy who's so deranged. But here it's not so much like the depravity of the world is causing just as much equal violence in the name of justice. This is all about the exploitation of violence, causing more exploitation of violence.
And I completely agree with you on all counts, except ending could have been better.
It's about the people that are required, that need to exist in order to maintain parts of our system, and that a lot of us just have on the background.
So, I think we arrived the part of the discussion where we put our final thoughts and our marker, and where we put this in perspective of our year of movies, especially us. You not so much because you haven't seen as many movies as we do.
Actually, yes, I do. I just don't see the bad ones, you guys say.
Oh, well,
la-ti-da to you, sir.
So I think I liked this movie way more than you did.
Yeah,
I think I did.
I wouldn't say way more. You guys just really disagree on 1/20 of the movie.
It's just sometimes you can have a great movie and you can
I will
ruin
agree
its
with you. There are
effect
films
by the ending.
that
An
completely
ending
butter
has
themselves
a
at the
big
ending.
effect on how you leave the theater.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is, bar none, the most impressive performance
From Gyllenhaal.
Not only from Gyllenhaal, from a male lead I've seen all year.
Really?
Yes.
Above Affleck?
Above Affleck. I would put it above Affleck.
I didn't see that movie. I was away.
I would put it above Gone Girl. I would put it above Gone Girl because I feel like the world demanded more from Gyllenhaal. I feel like it was the movie.
So you're putting the entire film above Gone Girl.
No, like you said, if this was Crispin Glover, it would seem it would be in genre, but with Gyllenhaal. Sorry, Gyllenhaal. It's just I don't.
So, but continue your thought.
No, with Gyllenhaal, it was definitely even with Donnie Darko, this was beyond something that I would expect from him.
Did you guys see the movie Prisoners?
I've seen Prisoners.
No, I have not seen Prisoners.
I think that was the one that raised the bar for Gyllenhaal for me. Even though he was supporting, that was the one that raised it a little bit. And even then, he was in Zodiac, yeah?
Yeah, he was in Zodiac, and he was also in Brokeback Mountain. And
well, okay, I'm actually one of the few people.
That's what it was, Zodiac. I was thinking about that.
But Zodiac,
was he in Zodiac? Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He was in Zodiac, and then he was in Prisoners. Prisoners was the one where I could be like, okay, I will take Jake Gyllenhaal completely seriously. He's up there. I have much higher standards from him. But this one, not so much. Even though he graduated to leading, I am not deepened in my appreciation for Gyllenhaal in so much as
I am, because that supporting actor, like the movie is not anchored to him. He can be good in the movie, he can be great in the movie, and he can have a great performance in the movie, but the movie is not hinged upon his performance like this movie is.
Oh no, absolutely.
So I think with that greater demand and that greater
that he still knocked it out of the park.
And he still knocked it out of the park. I think that the fact that I have yet to see a movie that is so dependent upon one singular actor's performance and him rising up and meeting those expectations. And not only that, but portraying himself in the least flattering light possible. I mean, even
it sounds like such a simple thing, but really take into account how many times you've seen an actor of any stripe go wholly unreputable.
Loathable, completely loathable.
Oh, absolutely. There is no redemption for this character, even if the film presents it as being such, purposefully.
Exactly.
But yeah, playing a wholly irredeemable character is not as common as one would think.
He's a true villain.
Yes,
he's
absolutely.
a true villain in this.
He's worthy of Shakespeare.
Yes.
Not the script, but the character himself. Yeah.
The character himself, yes, is Shakespeare.
He would plot with it. He would be one of Iago's most trusted lieutenants.
He's on the same league as Aaron the Moor, I think is.
Yes.
Because both are characters that are product of the violent.
Yes.
Of the violence that surrounds them.
So you're putting it pretty highly.
I am personally all year. Like
keep in mind, we still have the most artsy Oscar bait ones to go.
I know, but those were Oscar bait. This is
this is Oscar bait.
I wouldn't say this is Oscar.
It's artsy. It's amazing. But if you don't think an Oscar nomination played at least a factor into Gyllenhaal's decision to take the script,
I would not. Here's the thing. There is parts of my logical brain that says yes, Oscar talks.
I'm not saying this is August Osage County.
Oh no.
But I am saying this is a movie that's meant to appeal at least partially to the Academy.
But the Academy is still very old hat. There's no way that they'll be looking at the performance of this movie.
Oh, I think so. I think Gyllenhaal's definitely going to walk away with something.
Well, yeah, they'll at least garner some.
He's going to be nominated. He has to be nominated.
He has to be nominated. If he is not nominated this year, it's just another in the long line of great
Number 118 of the Academy's mistakes
in the last 5 years, at least. But 2-3 years if we're feeling generous. But again, I don't believe that the Oscar, like the Academy will look at that performance and then give that same kind of award that they gave to, like, say, he was in The King's Speech,
Colin Firth.
Well,
no, that was Oscar Wank. There's a difference between Oscar bait
a reason that
and
he may
Oscar
not
Wank.
win is because the movie itself is not quite big enough. Possibly not big enough.
Oscars love smaller movies.
I
would say this.
Yeah. The Oscar loves movies that are modest in their screenings,
and especially in their budget, especially in their box office gross.
Box office
gross. They'll give more Oscars to a $20 million grosser than a $250 million grosser.
Well, unless their name was Avatar.
I stand corrected then.
But again, I keep coming back to this.
That's not my experience, though.
But beyond the incredible performance of Jake Gyllenhaal, and beyond the fact that I love the fact that this is so uncompromising a movie. This is so stark in its pessimistic view that I can't help but feel that this is probably one of the best films I've seen all year, both in terms of intent and execution. There's less of a gap between intent and execution in this picture than I've seen in a lot of others. I'll grant you. I think this is definitely one of those movies that I like. If it does, if no one sees it, like if this is just another one of those,
your heart's gonna break.
If no one's gonna see it, I would understand why they didn't see it, because
yeah.
like this is a movie that can be hard to watch sometimes, especially some of the awkward, cringy scenes.
That's the point that's actually what I was kind of saying, is that that's why it's possible he won't get that Oscar, because of the movie being in that category. That's so.
You're like, oh,
yeah.
Oh, you're too good at this.
It's not your typical drama that you.
Yeah, it's not your highfalutin period piece of.
It's an
real
oddball.
Characters with unreal problems.
An oddball.
Yeah.
No, it's nothing like that at all. But I keep coming back to it though. I love this movie. I really, really, and honestly and truly love this movie, and I'm glad that we saw 2 good movies in a row for a change. I'm going to pass it over to you, Gabe. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts? Great. You know what? Great acting. That's the number one quality of the main actor. Good writing, good script. Yeah, definitely good script. Good cinematography.
Oh yeah, I actually really love the cinematography.
Yeah, a good portrayal of. Yeah. Terrible ending. Terrible ending.
Where does it rank on your 2014 list?
So, like, do you think this will wind up on your best of the year list?
Yes.
Okay. Outside of that ending, you're able to give that the best of the year distinction.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very nice. And you, Gavin?
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts.
We need more Rene Russo.
Oh, granted, but that's not. Yeah. That shouldn't be your thought. That should be America's thoughts.
Yes. I think it's going to be on my top 10, if we can use such cliche terms. Probably not as high as yours. I still would put Gone Girl a little bit higher. I realize I'm a Fincher addict. I am fully disclaiming my biases here, but I'm not saying it's as big a gap. But
like the one area where Gone Girl lost me was the plot details and some of the plot holes in that, especially where the mystery was involved.
I know, but I'm still gonna put Nightcrawler a little bit below. But everything these guys have said, Gyllenhaal, Russo, all performance-wise, this is great. Cinematography, I wouldn't put it as highly as you guys do. I've seen some pretty spectacularly shot films this year. Oh man, other than that, I would say I didn't like the score. I did not like this movie's score.
Ooh,
I think it's a good
now you see, now that's a good.
Because at some point, I know Gabe and I were sitting close to each other, and we just kind of mockingly like raved during one of the action set piece, and there's a lot of like boop ba doop ba doop. It seemed very simple for a movie that had. It seemed like the score was the last of their budget that they stuck near catering. Like, this is where we can spend the least amount of money. But
subtlety was a bit lost on this movie.
Well, you know where
that's my chief complaint. Editing wise, it's pretty spectacular, and script wise, I've heard and seen a lot better this year. But overall, it comes, of course, recommended.
You know where they got most of their budget from, though?
Where do they get most of it?
Bird's Eye frozen vegetable product placement.
Bird's Eye frozen vegetables.
You know, there's 2 different Bird's Eye frozen vegetable commercials in 2 different parts in the movie.
I did not notice that at all. How observant of you.
After
that big Bird's Eye money.
Exactly. After Man of Steel, I've been honing in on where I see product placement.
I completely believe you.
Yeah, Challenger SRT, good on you for sponsoring that movie. Bird's Eye frozen vegetables, I'm buying.
I'm surprised you exist.
I'm surprised you exist, and I'm buying a chicken pot pie from you just later on, just to prove that you spent your money wisely.
You know, actually, I'll expand on that. I'm really glad you brought up the score, because just like I think that's basically what my problem was with this movie.
Besides the ending,
I think it's all the same.
It's
all the same problem. I think it's more of style that I had a problem with. The style of the film. So which includes the score and the ending and just many other.
So a lot of directorial decisions.
Yes, I think that was basically what my problem was, and I think. I mean, I know that that can really change. That can really change a movie. You'd be amazed, like if you take The Labyrinth and you give it a shitty score,
or if you watch Birth of the Nation set entirely to '90s hip hop, like one of my film studies teacher did.
That would be incredible.
That is spectacular.
That would be incredible.
Oh, it's amazing.
And that's what I'm saying is the big things, the meaty things of this movie were really good. It's the subtlety that can completely reframe it. You know?
You don't agree with the framing.
I don't agree with the framing.
Picture's great, but this fucking frame.
It was a terrible frame.
It's a chintzy frame they bought
Didn't
at
go
Pier
with the
1 for
wallpaper at
$10.99.
all.
Although now I'm just thinking about the Grand Wizards marching down, set to California Love by Tupac.
California
Knows how to party.
in the city.
I don't think we're going to be
City
able.
of Nashville.
Let's end this before...
I don't think we're going to be able to top that thought. So I'm going to leave you all with a very hearty recommendation for this movie. See Nightcrawler if it's playing near you. We were lucky to find an advanced screening like 20 miles south from wherever you are. But see this movie. See it for Rene Russo. See it for Jake Gyllenhaal. And see it because we are all terrible people. And we all want to see our fellow man dead.
And it's not an X-Men Origins film.
I think that much goes without said. Till next time.
I finished my drink.